Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, all U.S. Constitution protects all lives matter members out there. Good morning, all my dear brothers, Knights of Columbus. And good morning to our dear President, Donald J. Trump and J.D. Vance. Everybody seems to be telling each other who should do this, who should back this, who should back who. Well, why don't you back the President of the United States on his endeavors, because he is the CEO of the United States of America. These rats that have infested Washington, D.C., using Project M and COINTELPRO programs to brainwash the individual people of the United States of America is horrendous. These are the people like Barack Hussein Obama, Eric Holder, Loretta Lynch, Valerie Caproni, Mr. Garland, Merrick Garland, and several others, and including the BOP directors under the Biden-Obama regime, which was the same regime, as you know, because Miss Obama was running the White House while Biden was there. Biden was just a puppet, and it came out. Just the mere fact that he sloughed off on the tarmac a meeting with the Jewish cabinet and Netanyahu, he sloughed off Joe Biden when he summoned him to the Air Force One. What does that tell you? That tells you the Democrats let Obama run the White House behind the scenes and bring the United States economy to the state what it's in today. Because had they not allowed Obama to ally with the Iranian government, the Chinese government, we wouldn't be here today. We wouldn't be in the Straits of Hormuz conflict today had they allowed such investigations and, brought out in the open the cover-up that Kevin Rizzoli, the founder of U.S. Constitution Protects All Lives Matter, brought out in the open. But instead, they let the Obama administration imprison Kevin Rizzoli, subject him to inhumane treatment, subject him to basic terrorist treatment, which they held him incommunicado in 9 South and 10 North in MCC, New York, trying to break him before trial. Yes, I said trial because he exercised his vested constitutional rights, which they told his family not even to show up at the trial. Now, one person they would allow to go and be in my trial courtroom. Not one. This is what you call a travesty, and this is where the United States Navy needs to come in and investigate why a military sentence was lengthened without due process of law or even the United States Code of Military Justice Law, which is a lesser, which is proven by preponderance of the evidence, not beyond a reasonable doubt, as Title 18 and federal law is. Mr. Obama, through Joe Biden, awarded Damian Williams, then USA, my prosecutor, with the United States Attorney's Southern District of New York judgeship. Can you imagine trying to break a United States Navy trained intelligence individual who was overseas operating in different capacities? This, ladies and gentlemen, is a joke. This, ladies and gentlemen, is a violation of UN treaty laws under Articles 2 through 9. Of course, I cannot have children. And this, ladies and gentlemen, violates Title 18 U.S.C. 1961 through 64 C and D, the RICO and Conspiracy to RICO Murder Act. This is proven by court files being tampered with and doctored, as you see in 21 CV 4145, Rizzoli versus Black Lives Matter Incorporated. So now, ladies and gentlemen, what is going on today is still continuation of the Project M brainwashing of society, taking you away from the true meaning of what is going on. Donald Trump is doing the best he can. J.D. Vance is out there in the forefront. Even though he has a newborn baby at home, he is out there fighting to bring these people to justice and to bring these people to their knees before they get a chance to hurt and further inflict harm on the United States people, on United States soil, as they have done in the past, through the advisement of Barack Hussein Obama, Stephen Fulop, Cory Booker, Maxine Waters, Chuck Schumer, Hakeem Jeffries, AOC, Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, and the whole list goes on. These individuals, ladies and gentlemen, that I just spoke about are supposed to be representatives in Washington, D.C. But the only thing they represent, ladies and gentlemen, is treasonist and seditionist. You all heard Cory Booker months ago that he wanted to punch President Trump dead in the face. That in itself is impeachment evidence for him to be taken out of Washington, D.C. What type of representative in the House would say that? What type of American, if you are a true American, would say that? I have many friends that are Mexican Americans, that are Mexican nationals who became American citizens, that farm in America, that are my neighbors in Texas, and they treat me like I would be treated anyplace else. They pay taxes. They work hard on their farms. And most of all, ladies and gentlemen, agree that if you come to this country, you must pay taxes and you must ensure that our soil is taken and protected. That is not the case with the Islamic community. They come here for one reason and one reason only. As you've seen, they defaced Christian houses of worship, assaulted Asians and assaulted Italian Americans, assaulted people's businesses, and took and burned down so many cities. Because, as you know, ladies and gentlemen, Black Lives Matter movement incorporated from Oakland, California, is a terrorist organization classified as such by the DHS under Joseph Biden. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's we the people, for the people, by the people. I was injured. I've had surgery. I'm recuperating. But you want to know something, ladies and gentlemen? I'm a veteran, and my military records were falsified. They were in and tampered with under the Obama administration. The courts systems are covering it up. They are blocking me from operating within the confines of the Hunts Point Terminal Market, Bronx, New York, within the district of AOC. AOC didn't even give me the courtesy as a U.S. Navy veteran to have the Constituent Affairs Officer return a phone call from her office in regards to the illegal acts committed by people of the Hunts Point Terminal Market Public Safety. Such grounds are owned by the city of New York. Not even Mayor Mondani had the decency of having his constituent affairs call me back. But, ladies and gentlemen, the public advocate's office did call me back, but did nothing. Not once, but twice. They go through the steps, and that shows an act of racism. You see my face, I'm an Italian-American, Caucasian, which Barack Hussein Obama, Mondani, and the rest wish to annihilate, as Patrisse Cullors said on TV. We the people, for the people, by the people, will be heard on October 4th. This will be addressed, and the reason why I picked Columbus Park for such is not only because Christopher Columbus was defamed by Black Lives Matter Movement Incorporated and Barack Hussein Obama, Joe Biden, but because it encompasses New York State, federal courts, New York State buildings, the U.S. Attorney's Office is in the backdrop, and MCC New York, the modern-day inner-city Auschwitz of the Bureau of Prisons, showing all of them that we are still a force to be reckoned with, and that Christianity will not be wiped out in the United States of America because people take to the streets and their voice allegedly is the loudest thing, because loud doesn't mean nothing. The United States Constitution means all, because Jesus Christ built what? The church on the rock of our faith, and the power over all of us is love, not hatred, and not Islamic jihad. And most of all, is if they attempt acts of violence, because American patriots, which I'm sure will be there, Knights of Columbus will be there, U.S. Constitution Protects All Lives Matter members will be there, and I'm sure the Asian community will show up in force, in support, and they will be heard also because leaders of their community will be asked to speak. Just like invitations are going out to Cardinal Dolan, now retired, but he's still an active mind and an active force within the United States and abroad, and is an arm of the Vatican representative in the state of New York, Diocese of New York. Roman Catholics, we are over 1 billion strong. Every walk of life. We the people, for the people, by the people, accept the fate of Jesus Christ for being crucified on the cross for original sin. What we will not accept is the attack on our churches. We will not accept the attack on people that belong to our faith, and we will not accept Sharia law to be employed in the United States of America, because there's only one law under God, invincible, and it's not the American way if you want Sharia law. Title 18 is the only law for the federal government, and municipal and state law is to be applied in each state. Every state has its own constitution, but federal law supersedes state law. And don't forget that. It's we the people, for the people, by the people. That is why these lice and vermin that have infected Washington, D.C., must be charged with treason and sedition. And these judges who refuse to abide by Article 3 court provisions set forth as law what in congressional language must be carried out with the power of law, not to your own interpretation, because it's explicit and implicit. And business cannot be attacked and impeded because individuals are in the street attacking those trucks. That is a violation of the RICO Act. But, ladies and gentlemen, the individual Italian community has suffered and had laws enacted to destroy them. Such laws was enacted by the very people like Barack Hussein Obama, Cory Booker, Chuck Schumer, Ilhan Omar, and I heard to say it, Nancy Pelosi, whose father built the city of Baltimore from the ground up, whose father is turning over in his grave. So, ladies and gentlemen, the permits are still pending October 4th. Let's hope and pray the city will grant them. And if they don't, we know where Mayor Mondani's mindset is, and we know how to vote comes November. We don't vote Democrat. You vote red. Get these people out of office. Vote red. Get Hochul out of the governor. She brainwashed Mr. Cuomo from stepping down as a tactic to bring in communism. So, ladies and gentlemen, November, vote red. November, vote red. End communism in the United States of America. And support Nicole Maliotakis, our representative from Staten Island and Brooklyn. She is a driving force in Washington, D.C. to make sure the United States Constitution stands and the Union Jack flies, as all those bodies were piled up at Fort McHenry to make sure that flag did not touch the ground, and to make sure the British knew, and we were up against the whole fleet of the British Empire. And that's why Francis Scott Key wrote that song called The Star-Spangled Banner. Oh, say, can you see, by the dawn's early light. And that dawn's early light reflected and showed the silhouette of the Union Jack. The very Union Jack that these individuals burn, which is a crime of sedition, and walk on. And if these kids today burn a flag, find out who they support and send them to that country. Send them to Lebanon. Send them to Syria. Send them to the Middle East. Send them to China. Send them to Russia. Because they won't last 2 minutes off the plane. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. God bless you. And remember one thing. In God we trust. In God we trust. Thank you very much.